In fact, she had a prior arrest for having attacked a family member with a fork.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. Today we are going to be talking about the tragic murder of David Phelps. Now, I will be referring to him as Tray throughout this video because that is actually what he went by to his friends and family. So let's go ahead and get started. On September 24th, 2015, 26-year-old Tray Phelps was found murdered outside of his own home in Hayti, Missouri. Hayti is a very, very small, eensy-weensy, teeny-tiny, close-knit town, and it is located in what they call the Boot Heel of Missouri. At 6:45 on the morning of September 24th, 2015, Tray failed to show up for work. He was a man with a very strong work ethic, and so he never called off, let alone just didn't show up to work, so immediately people knew that something was wrong. His neighbor, Chris Thompson, was leaving her home that morning with her children when her daughter looked over at her and said, "Is he dead?" And she knew something was wrong. She sent her children back in the house and immediately called authorities. She told them that she could see her neighbor, Tray Phelps, laying next to his vehicle in his driveway and that it appeared that he may be dead. Tray worked for his grandfather, who was known as Big Dave, at the local marina. When he received word that Tray had not shown up for work, he immediately knew that something was wrong. He got in his car and immediately drove to Tray's house, and when he got there, he was first on scene and found that Tray was laying next to his vehicle. He was the individual who actually checked to see if Tray had a pulse and if he was breathing, and he knew right away that he had passed. Sergeant Bud Cooper from the Missouri State Highway Patrol was asked by the sheriff's department to come and take a look and see if he could help with the case. He arrived on scene to find Tray's body still lying next to his car. According to Sergeant Cooper, Tray's body showed several different types of wounds, and they were unsure of the manner in which he was killed. When the coroner arrived and they turned Tray's body over, they realized that he had significant abdominal bruising. Additionally, he had a huge gash above his right eye. This, along with the blood spatter patterns as well as the dents in his vehicle, led authorities to believe that he had been hit with a very large object. The autopsy revealed that he did die from blunt force trauma and that his injuries were consistent with having been hit with something, likely an aluminum baseball bat. During the investigation, Troy's grandfather, Big Dave, lets the police know that it is likely that his fiancée Madison is inside the home. He begins banging on the door frantically, and when she comes to the door, she can tell something is wrong and she asks what is going on. And his grandfather immediately tells her, "I hate to be the one to tell you this, but Tray is dead." And she immediately breaks down and begins sobbing. Now, investigators are mildly suspicious at this point because it is difficult to believe that Tray had been brutally attacked outside of his home and that there was another individual inside the home who hadn't heard anything. So needless to say, their ears are perked at this point and they are looking at his fiancée as a potential suspect. She says that when Tray left that morning for work, he came into the bedroom, he woke her up to say goodbye, she was barely awake, he said, "I love you," she said, "I love you too," and that she was probably asleep by the time he was even out of the bedroom. She says that she is a very heavy sleeper and that she must sleep with a fan, so that was running and she did not hear anything. Police begin to put all of the evidence together, and they know that because of the nature of the way in which he was attacked, this crime must have been very personal. The time of day that the crime was committed also revealed to police that whoever attacked Tray was very familiar with his routine as well as his daily activities. According to Sergeant Cooper, Madison was actually able to be ruled out fairly early in the investigation as the case took an immediate turn once new information was found. Madison says that she so desperately wishes that she had been up making Tray coffee, that she had been packing his lunch, that she had just been awake, because she carries with her a tremendous amount of guilt for not having heard anything and for potentially being able to stop what happened to him. In the interview that I watched with her, I was heartbroken. It is very easy to see that she carries this guilt with her daily, and I just can't imagine being in her position. While on scene, the investigators realized that it was trash day. Immediately they sprang into action because they were concerned that whoever murdered Tray may have disposed of the murder weapon in the trash. They worked fast tasked to track down the garbage truck driver for that specific area. They were luckily able to make contact with him before he headed to the landfill, but unfortunately, after sifting through nearly 4 tons of trash, they were unable to find any evidence. Police brought Tray's vehicle into custody to protect the crime scene. They were able to collect a great deal of physical evidence, but more importantly, they actually found a handgun in the glove compartment of Tray's vehicle. This put police on high alert because it indicated to them that either Tray was concerned for his own safety or he was having an issue with someone. When Madison was asked about anyone that may have had an issue with Tray, somebody came to mind immediately. There was a man who frequently walked around their neighborhood asking for money and asking for odd jobs, and this man was actually raking the leaves in Tray and Madison's yard. And Tray did not want him to do this. They did not want to pay him for this job, and so he went out, told him to stop raking the leaves, and they got into sort of a verbal altercation, but that was the end of it. And Madison was quick to tell police that this made her uncomfortable because it felt like this man could have been scoping out their home. Tray's neighbor Chris was able to give a description of this man, and it matched Madison's description exactly. This man was tracked down, and his name is Billy. When the police brought him into the station, they asked him many questions. He did have a prior arrest record for robbery, so the police were very suspicious. Though he denies ever having contact with Tray within the incident that Madison actually told the police about, he adamantly denied any involvement in Tray's murder. And in fact, they were able to corroborate the alibi which he gave police. Immediately, police take him off of the suspect list and they move on. Police now begin looking at Tray's ex-wife, Heather Phelps. Heather lived locally, and she and Tray shared 50-50 custody of their son, Noah. Noah was actually in her care the morning of Tray's murder. Sergeant Cooper said that Heather seemed genuinely upset that her son was no longer going to have a father, but she equally was upset that she would not be receiving child support regularly as she had been. Rumors began to take hold in this tiny community, and though many were unfounded, the police took all of these rumors seriously. Some community members had actually overheard Heather talking about how enraged she was over the fact that Tray was seeking greater custody of Noah. And she said, "He can mess with me, but if he tries to mess with Noah, he is a dead man." Police now look into Bert Ellison, the boyfriend of Tray's ex-wife, Heather. He had made general threats on social media. He had also posted very threatening images on social media, and so they bring him in for questioning. When they brought him in, he did not appear upset when he heard about the passing of Tray. And this was highly suspicious because Bert was actually friends with Tray's father for nearly 20 years. And if this sounds confusing at all, just know that there is a significant age difference between Heather and Bert. So that could be why it seems confusing, but he was indeed friends with Tray's father. Bert came to the police station voluntarily. He gave access to his phone and to his social media sites to the police, and they immediately found something very suspicious. Though he denied ever having been at Tray's home, they found pictures of Tray's home on his phone. Now, I don't understand. If you know these pictures are on your phone, why would you just give access to the police? I'm not sure. Maybe he didn't realize they were on there, but nevertheless, there were pictures of Tray's home on his phone, and he had lied to the police and said he had never been there before in his life. This now gave police enough probable cause to arrest Bert Ellison in the murder of Tray. According to Sergeant Cooper, Bert adamantly denied that he had any involvement in Tray's murder. However, he was unable to explain a great deal of evidence. Tray's mother and father create a video and ask the police to show it to Bert. And the video's sole purpose was to appeal to Bert to just tell the truth and come forward about what happened. When he was shown the video, he was visibly shook. He denied any involvement, but he told police that they should speak to Chester Cummings. Now, Chester Cummings is Heather's father, which means that he is also Tray's ex-father-in-law. When Chester was brought in, he tells police that he woke up at 6:30 in the morning on the morning of Tray's murder. He tells police that his wife, Rhonda, then dropped him off at his job at the local school district, and they are able to confirm that he arrived at the school bus garage around the time that he told police that he did, which was about 6:45, 6:50 in the morning. Chester had no prior arrest records, but his wife Rhonda did. In fact, she had a prior arrest for having attacked a family member with a fork. This showed police that Rhonda did in fact have a violent past, and not just violent, but violent towards her family. When Chester was at the police station, he gave the police the right to look at his phone, and all of his text messages and all of his phone calls from the morning of the murder had been deleted, which did make police very suspicious. They began to wonder if he was lying about the time at which he woke up. They know that he was telling the truth regarding when he arrived to work, but could he be lying about when he actually got up to go to work? So police began asking local businesses for their security footage, and what they found was impressive. They were able to find video footage of Rhonda's car traveling into Hayti around 5:30 a.m. the morning that Tray had been murdered. You can see from the video that there are multiple people in the vehicle as it is driving. Luckily, and perhaps intentionally, police had Rhonda, Chester, and Bert all at the police station being investigated and interrogated at the exact same time, so they were able to play all of them against one another, and quickly they started dropping like flies. It was not long before they each started to turn on one another. However, police knew that Heather had to have something to do with this, and in fact, they were convinced that she was the ringleader. During these interviews, two family members actually came to the police and told them that they believed Heather had actually orchestrated this entire murder. In fact, they told police that Heather was the one who drove Bert and Chester to Tray's home. All four ended up being charged with some sort of involvement in the murder. Rhonda Cummings was charged with hindering prosecution and was sentenced to 4 years. 4 years. Heather received 15 years for conspiracy to commit murder. Bert Ellison only received a 5-year sentence. His 5-year sentence was for conspiracy to commit murder. Chester Cummings received a life sentence for the murder of Tray Phelps. And last but not least, Michael J. Hemingway was actually charged with tampering with physical evidence as he threw out garbage that was given to him by Chester Cummings the morning of Tray's murder. I don't even know where to begin here. This is not justice. There are many variations of how this murder could have taken place. None of them gave a direct description of how the actual murder occurred. The most popular belief is that likely either Rhonda or Heather drove the vehicle that morning and dropped Chester and Bert off just before the driveway to Tray's home. They then believe that Heather got out of the vehicle and approached Tray. Now, people believe that Tray likely thought that maybe something was wrong with Noah, as Heather was supposed to have Noah the night before, and so there would be no other reason for Heather to be approaching Tray at his home. The police then believe that Bert and Chester came up to Tray and beat him with an aluminum baseball bat and murdered him. Chester Cummings took full responsibility for having actually murdered Tray, but I don't know that the full story has ever been given to the police. All of these sentences were plea agreements, so there was no actual trial that ever occurred. I cannot imagine how this family, specifically the fiance and the mother of Tray, feel. My heart goes out to both of them. My heart goes out to the entire family, but I can't imagine the sense of loss and the lack of justice in this case, because some of these individuals have already gotten out of prison, to my knowledge. I was not able to find actual court records. However, his family, it appears, maintains this Facebook page, and the last post is from 2018, and it says that Bert was actually set to be released from prison very soon, so that tells me that he is likely already out of prison. Little Noah was legally adopted by Tray's mother and stepfather. This was, according to them, Tray's wish if something were to ever happen to him. They keep Tray's memory alive by playing Noah videos of Tray and Noah together, as well as Tray singing. He loved music, he loved to play the guitar, he loved to sing and entertain people with music. This is such a senseless and tragic crime. It is believed that he was murdered due to the fact that Heather did not want to give any more custody up of Noah, and I just cannot believe that this is why they took this man's life. It appears through video, through pictures, through stories that Tray was such a wonderful father. If there is anything we can learn from this murder, it is that no town, no matter how small, no matter how quaint, is exempt from violent crime. Please be vigilant. Please keep your eyes open. Let's help keep each other safe. Please go ahead and share some love with the family down below. I cannot even begin to think of words that would in any way show the sympathy I have for this family. Please remember to subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my uploads, and I will see you on the next one. Bye guys.